one of the biggest things, and I think all artists can kind of relate to this, and it's something that we've all had to work on, is comparing our success or opportunities to other artists, or looking at what other people are doing and thinking, oh, like, why do they have that and I don't have that? And it's like, that's probably the worst mentality to have, because it's like we all have our own path of things that we're supposed to have happen to us, and I think there's room for success for everybody, and just to focus on your own path and be happy for others, but to not think of it that way, and just think what is happening for me is supposed to be for me.
Thanks for tuning in to the inaugural episode of On The Porch with Front Porch Music, hosted by me, Jenna Weishar, and Logan Miller. We're excited to dive in with our first guest today, Ontario-based singer-songwriter Elyse Saunders. Elyse released Free, Wind Down, and Sunshine State of Mind as singles last year, leading up to the fall 2021 release of her EP, Free. She was nominated for 2 CMA Awards in 2021, a top 5 finalist in CBC Music's Countrywide Searchlight competition, and one of 7 finalists at the Boots and Hearts Emerging Artist Showcase. Needless to say, 2021 was a banner year for Elyse. Please welcome our first guest, Elyse Saunders.
So pull up a chair and join us on the porch for our conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year indeed.
Thank God 2021's behind us.
Right? Yeah, there was some ups and downs for sure.
You had a pretty good year still though in 2021.
Yeah, I took advantage of the time that I had and just tried to create as much as I could with songwriting. I released my brand new EP. I had a bunch of singles leading up. And I just found that during this time, we've all realized how much music means to us. And I do believe music heals. So I think that's where my music has really been able to connect with people, is during this time, because we're all looking for that outlet and something to connect to. And as much as, I've missed doing as many shows as I used to have before, what I've really loved is being able to commit to this full time. And I've been able to reach new heights and goals that I've never been able to reach before. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. What was the highlight of your year last year?
Oh my gosh, there were so many. And I feel like it's weird within this time because I don't know my timelines. So they're a little bit weird.
Right? Like what even was last year?
Yeah, exactly. They're all just blending into one. But yeah, my highlight would definitely be releasing the EP. It was kind of a year behind because of everything. And releasing my brand new music, new singles to radio, to my fans, releasing new music videos. It was also recognized with CBC Music through their Toyota Searchlight program.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was this
cool.
year. That was last year. Oh my God, this year. What is
Yeah, I know.
That's
This past year, yeah. And then, there was just a bunch of things that happened all at once, and a lot of opportunities that I didn't really predict. I just kind of had my set goals and things that I wanted to accomplish this year, and I was just open to all of the opportunities. And it seems like it just all was kind of lining up at the right time. And people that know me and my career know that this has not just been an overnight thing for me. It takes time to develop. So, and I'm self-made. So to get to this point, it's exciting for me, and the payoff is bigger, but also for the fans that have been a part of the journey too.
Speaking of like you mentioned like your goals and all that, are you the type of person to make New Year's resolutions and to, start every year with a fresh list of goals, or is it just kind of more of like a loosey-goosey kind of idea?
Well, I would say before the pandemic of the world, I was definitely a person that was like, okay, these are my goals. This is when I want to do things. But I learned to be a little bit more open and more flexible more than ever, and to not just be tied to those goals and just kind of move with where things are taking me in my career. So, but definitely I'm goal oriented. I work on this every single day. And I have certain things, like I have a list of things that I want to accomplish day to day. So for me, it's like, if I can tick things off that list every day, I know that it's moving towards bigger goals, and then cool opportunities usually come from that.
I think that's really healthy. Like, I want to be like that so bad. And like, I always start off every week being like that myself. And then it just totally falls off the rails by Tuesday.
I definitely have my days like I say, for me, because I'm I guess living in my purpose full time. I've never been able to get to that point until now, that it's super exciting to be able to work on this every day, and it excites me, and it's what I think about when I go to sleep and when I wake up. So I love just ticking those things off, and it feels really good to tick them off. But definitely I do schedule in those days to also do nothing, because my brain will just be going and going, and I'll just be moving nonstop until I burn myself out. So it's also important to just have those days where I do nothing, or just do some self-care. Like I'm big into meditation and journaling and things like that, just to kind of help ground me again. So that's important too.
That is important.
You're so healthy.
Yes and no. I feel like I love working on myself. I don't know. It's kind of like, I guess because I've worked so hard on my career, which has been developing my career, I also realized that I need to develop personally along with that to be able to make both worlds work together. So I enjoy, working on myself too, but it's not been overnight. All these things have taken time for sure. And I still, like I say, I have my down days, and it's important that I have my emotional support team, because I can, just vent if I have issues, and then, just kind of think like, how could I fix that? So
That makes sense. What are like some of those things that you have to be careful of that kind of get into your head or put you in a little bit of a funk that are you actively aware of those things?
I would say it's one of the biggest things, and I think all artists can kind of relate to this, and it's something that we've all had to work on, is comparing our success or opportunities to other artists, or looking at what other people are doing and thinking, oh, like, why do they have that and I don't have that? And it's like, that's probably the worst mentality to have, because it's like we all have our own path of things that we're supposed to have happen to us. And I think there's room for success for everybody, and just to focus on your own path and be happy for others, but to not think of it that way, and just think what is happening for me is supposed to be for me.
It's a tricky slope. Like, that is a really big thing, I think, not even just for artists, but for anyone who is in some kind of perceived competition or competitive industry. Like, even for us, like, I find myself sometimes going down that path as well, and then I have to shake myself out of it. But it's like, it's a real downer.
It's weird too, because you also sometimes get so wrapped up in it that you start to compare yourself to things that don't even it's just not the same anyways. And you're just like, people who are doing such different things are like, why don't I have that? And you're like, well, is that something I'd even, like, you get so caught up in not the things you don't have.
Totally.
So, like, that's not even something I would necessarily want, right?
Totally. And social media has a big play in that, especially because we've all been tuned in so much to it, because like, what else can you do? But yeah, I think it's something that I think we're all kind of learning about ourselves maybe during this time.
Totally.
But it's, the important thing is to have that perspective of, like you said, is to say, like, these are the things I want. And you might have that feeling about something, but when you really think about it, is to think, well, no, that's not for me. I have other things that are for me.
What is it that helped you get out of that like frame of mind?
I would say journaling. Journaling has really helped me. Like I say, meditating as well. I find I have a very active mind. I think creators do. We're just thinking about a million things at once. So being able to do that, it just kind of grounds my thoughts into one focus. So I'm not thinking about a million things at once. And journaling really helps me to focus on, like, write those things down that I want to see and that I know I can do, and what is healthy for me, and just keep focused on that, and to not let the chatter that goes on in our brains overtake all the goodness that's happening for us. And we all have our own good happening.
This is totally adding up. I literally said, I think, to Logan when we got your EP ahead of the release, I was like, this album is just so positive. And there's just like, it's like this big hug, which sounds like, I didn't, not to minimize anything, obviously, but it just felt like such a like happy, it's literally just your brain put into music. It's like, everything's just adding up very clearly right now for me. I'm like, this all makes so much sense.
Well, that means a lot, because that was definitely a big goal for me when I was releasing songs towards this EP, or even picking songs, writing songs. I always try to, I mean, I write everything, but I always try to pick songs that I believe are going to make people feel positive or empower them in some way, because I do think, as much as like I'm somebody that can love a sad song or loves a sad movie, especially when I'm feeling down, I'm like, I need that just to let it out. But I can't listen to that stuff or watch that stuff too much, because I need to be kind of uplifted so that I can get back to that good place. So I want to give people music that does that, that keeps them on track and makes them feel good about who they are. And I try to bring that to everything, like my songs and my live show, and that we're kind of all in this together. So yeah, that's always been a focus, and I'm so glad you picked up on that. And yeah, I've definitely had my trials and tribulations, and still do. So it's like, I had an artist say that to me the other day. They're like, we were talking about different things we've gone through and dysfunction and whatever, and they're like, but you're so positive. I'm like, yeah, because I don't want to share the bad and the sad. I want to share stuff that makes people feel good.
And beneath all that positive, there's sometimes some negative.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep it down there.
Yeah.
That's why, did you think like the song Jeans, bop, by the way, it's so
Thank you.
upbeat and happy. I'm not articulating things. I did it once for the internet and I wrote it down. So I love the song. It's so cute. That's what I'm trying to say here.
You.
It's easier to think out your words when you're trying to write them as opposed to just like say stuff sometimes.
Yes, I totally do that.
Good thing this is a podcast.
Yeah, I love talking. Love talking. But that song blew up. Did you like? I mean, I liked it, but I was like, I thought something else. I didn't pick it as the number one thing to be. You know, you've already collected over 300,000 streams on that song. No.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
I know. Well, it's crazy when this stuff happens. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I never know what to expect. I kind of put the thought out there and thinking I would love for this to happen, but I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself. I just would love for that to happen. So when it does happen, it's like, what? Really? This is so cool. So what's neat about music though, is because, well, Free was my big blow up song and was the title track of this EP. And then we had Wind Down and we had Sunshine State of Mind. So they're all the thread is my artistry and my voice and the empowering messages, but they're all slightly different sound wise. So it's interesting to hear from everybody, like, what are their picks and what does really well. Like, for instance, Sunshine State of Mind got, what? I just put a post about it. It was like, I think I want to say 500,000 or 600,000 streams on Amazon Music, which is crazy. That is crazy. But then Apple loves Jeans, like that's their song, weird? And they're like, we're behind this one, and like that one's blowing up. So it's like the different platforms of listeners like different things, which is neat.
That is neat, like to follow that journey between each platform.
Yeah,
that is interesting. I must say, my favorite song on it is actually California.
Oh yeah, yay! I love that one too.
I think mine is Sunshine State of Mind.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm biased. I love them all because they're my babies, but thank you. But yeah, California has a cool vibe to it as well. And
it does. I just picture being in a Jeep, like riding down the beach, like the literal sense of everything, but just like enjoy. Oh, I need to get out of here.
Yeah, it's like it almost feels like you're in an escape. Yeah,
absolutely. Sure. I love that.
That's awesome. So let's like kind of get to know you a bit more. I mean, the two of us, we've been connected with you for a while, but tell us a bit about yourself. Like, where are you from?
So I'm from Peterborough, Ontario, originally. I'm now in Toronto, but it's just a little more central to everything. But Peterborough is where I grew up and where my family's from. My mom's still there, so it's the place that I like to shut off and take a fresh breath of fresh air, literally, because we're out in the countryside. So yeah, Peterborough, Ontario is where I grew up and where I first started singing. I actually started doing singing competitions first. I was always an at-home songwriter and loved to sing at home. And it was kind of like this hobby thing. It was always like, I would love to do that. I would watch Shania Twain and just think I'd love to do that one day. But I didn't really know like what that was or how you even do that. I just knew that I loved it and I wanted to do it myself. So singing competitions where I started, as when I was a teenager. And then I was really fortunate to meet my very first mentor. His name is Cyril Rawson from Peterborough as well. And he's quite connected to Nashville and has had all these string of songwriting hits. And then he got into producing. So really early on, it was awesome to line up with somebody like him, because he's such a pro, and just be able to sing on his songs and really interpret how you sing a lyric as a songwriter. And then going to Nashville and being surrounded by these like amazing players that have played with everybody you could think of. So I really was lucky early on to see what it was to be professional. And then that really rubbed off on me and really showed me where I guess the bar was and like what I wanted to reach. So I went from singing competitions pretty quickly into an artist, which was Elyse Saunders, the brand. So then after I released that first album that I recorded with Cyril, I spent a few years going back and forth between my hometown and Nashville and songwriting, and just trying to really develop all the angles of me as an artist, as a performer, as a singer, and as a songwriter. So, and then I recorded my album in 2015. And that was my first album with my own original written material. And then again, just getting to now this point. So it's kind of like a leveling up as I've gone throughout my career.
So did music come natural to you? Like, did you grow up around music and like, did it just naturally come flowing out of you? Or is it something that obviously you've had to work at it, but is it something that's like runs through your veins?
Yes, it's part of me. And I wouldn't be the same person without music, for sure. Music is definitely my therapy and my outlet. And that's like one of the biggest things for me and why I love to do it. And I've been songwriting since I was just a little kid. My mom was an at-home songwriter. She just did it because she was just always a singer-songwriter for fun at home. And I just remember going through her guitar case and pulling out her sheets of songs that she had written. And I just remember, I think I was like 5 years old or something. I just remember thinking that is so cool to be able to express your thoughts on paper and be able to sing it. So I started doing that at a young age just because I thought that was so neat. And
have you ever recorded any of her songs?
I should record one.
That would be so cool.
I should.
For Mother's Day.
Yeah, I definitely, that's a cool idea.
That's so cute.
Adorable. Look at us.
Don't let her listen to this.
I mean, I was just thinking that we'll have to keep that a surprise.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so cute.
So your mom was a songwriter, so that's obviously kind of where you got your inspiration from. So I guess it's safe to say she was your first inspiration.
She was one of my very first inspirations. And then it was my dad had bought me my very first karaoke machine. And then that's when I would just like perform at home and pretend I was in this other little world. And then I guess they could see that I had something. I had some talent. So that's when we first got into singing competitions, and we'd move around across Ontario doing these different competitions. But I can say I've never been one for competitions. I kind of hate competitions. They were a great start, but they definitely change the way you feel about music. So I only did that for so long, and then got into the scene of live music and working with people that I looked up to and mentors, I guess. So my dad and I would go to the bars. I'd be underage, and he'd be like, "Can I get my daughter to sing with you for a guest song?" And they're like, "Yeah, like come on up." So I would hop on stage. I'd sing to this audience of people I had never known, and I'd have to hop off and then leave the bar. So I've had quite an elaborate, different kind of experiences, I guess, throughout my career. But I'm really thankful for the live shows really early on, for sure.
Did you have like at these bars, did you have these go-to songs that you would always do?
I figured out the songs that most of the musicians would know basically at every bar. And I'd be like, okay, let's do this song in this key. And they're like, okay, let's do it.
What songs?
We would do At Last.
Oh, so good. Classic.
That's a classic.
How old were you
I was like 16. I think I was around 16. We would do some of like the classics because we would spend a lot of time in the Port Credit Mississauga kind of area, because they had quite a live music scene in there. So I'd pick a lot of the classics that I knew that age group would know and the musicians. So yeah, it was just a range of things. Not a lot of country at that time. It was more, I would say, soulful stuff. But yeah, the country roots come from my hometown and starting to work with my first producer.
When did you start getting into the country music side of things?
I was around 17 is when I'd always sung everything, but at 17 is when I made that decision that I was like, okay, country music is what I'm doing and where I want to go. And I remember having the conversation with my producer, and he was like, you can sing everything. You have a cool range, but we need to pick a genre. And he said, like, is it pop? Is it country? Whatever. So I was like, country music is what I want to do, because I feel like that's who I am as a person. And I love that you can tell stories and be yourself. And that was one of the biggest things for me, is to be myself. I never wanted to feel like I had to put on a persona. I always thought, like, I want that longevity in my career, that I can have a family and I can be down to earth, and people will accept me for that. And it's more of a family than anything.
Yeah. The country industry really is like a family. Like, that's kind of partly what drew me to country as well, is just the industry and how everyone is just kind of real people.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. It's just, you can be real. You can still have other things outside of music, and like I say, have family, have friends, and people will treat you still like a human. So I love that. And what I also really like about country music right now too is that, like you've heard in this EP, is I feel like I'm dabbling in a little bit of some of the other genres as well. So that's where I've kind of put my stamp on what my sound is, because I have such a background of all these different styles of music. It's fun to bring that into my country music.
Country music as a genre is really versatile that way too, eh? Like, it's probably because of, like, country music was born out of the roots of a number of other genres. But it's really cool to see. I think, like, 5 years ago, we'd be like, that's not country, to whatever, right? You'd be like, that's pop, or that's rock. And it's cool now, because I'm like, you can hear the influences of other genres in a country song, in a pop song, whatever the hell it is. But it's so cool now, because it's a good thing. Like, we've kind of transitioned out of that, like, this isn't the right, there's no more like stiff holding people into this one thing, right? It's cool.
Into a box. Yeah, that's always been important to me too. And somebody that I've looked up to that does it really well is Dean Brody. He doesn't stick inside a box, but he also knows how to state his roots and who he is, and country music, and telling real stories. So I love that.
That's so true.
And I've always looked up to people like him, and Shania Twain was another one, never stuck to that box. And Garth Brooks.
Yeah, and those are the two of the largest artists of history.
Yeah.
So I've always looked up to that. I love that. And yeah, bringing in these other sounds and not to be afraid to play and express yourself.
Well, before we move on, let's take a quick break.
Some of these people that you really looked up to in terms of genre crossover and whatnot, but who else? Where do you look for inspiration when you're songwriting and when you're coming, to a writing session with an idea?
So for me, I go into the session with my own personal stories, but also I really like taking stories of my friends, or just real conversations, or I might be out and I might hear somebody say something that sounds like a really cool title. So in my style of writing, I like to make things, for the most part, really conversational as much as I can, and then these really big empowering courses. But yeah, for me, it's just about real life situations. And I always say to songwriters, so I've been with my boyfriend since high school, so we're high school sweethearts. So we've had our own fair share of our own personal dramas, but it's like, you've been with somebody for so long, it's like there's only so much drama and different things I can have in a relationship. So I'm always like, any little things, I always blow them out of proportion for a song.
So, we're going to fight right now, but only for a song.
Yeah. This is going to sound way worse than it actually was.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, and I just try to always think about my audience and what kind of songs are going to relate to them. I did play in the country club scene for quite a while, and is a big part of my development as an entertainer. And for people that have seen me at my show, I think they can tell that, because I love just interacting with the audience and creating this high energy show, which comes from that club scene of people partying, and they're all there to hang out or hook up or just have a good time and drinks or whatever. So I always think about them and my audience and how would they say it and how would they feel about this story.
Yeah.
Remember the days when we could go to a bar and listen to some music?
I know. I was just thinking, speaking of like your live shows, you had a show in December, which we weren't able to go to, unfortunately, because it was right before Christmas, right?
It was, yeah.
How was that?
So much fun. Yeah.
Okay,
it was like the last concert or live show that I had before everything shut down again. So it was kind of neat to have something as the big bang before I have downtime from playing again. So yeah, it was so much fun. I love playing live. And like I say, before the pandemic, that was my focus. I was like, play live as much as possible. And that was how I connected with my fans. So then to now switch what I was doing and make it all about marketing and content and all of that, it's been really interesting. But yeah, it felt fun just to connect with people again. And I brought up a young artist on stage with me who's from Oshawa, because the theater's in Oshawa. So like I was saying earlier, full circle moment is I used to do singing competitions. And one of the singing competitions was for KX96 contest in Oshawa at the Corral stage when I was like, I think I was 15 at that time. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, 15. So, and then I would spend all this time like playing in bars and guesting with all these people. So then having this moment of headlining a show, I was like, you know what? I want to bring a young artist that basically was me when I was 15 onto the stage with me. So I did that with an artist. Her name is Adriana Hopman. So we'll hear about her a lot more. And it was really a touching moment just to watch her sing and just kind of think I was there at one time. And we did this duet together. It was fun. That was my highlight at that show for sure.
I wish people could see you talking about it too, because like your eyes just lit up and you're like, this was the best moment of that show. Like, my headlining show, but this was that's really cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I want to do more of that as I get bigger in my career, and I hope to do more headlining shows. That'd be awesome. But I do want to be able to help these younger artists that were like me at one time too. And I've talked about at some point, I don't know when, but at some point I want to have my own label of some sort or mentoring program or something. So this more success I can have, the more I can help other artists. So.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Is there anything wrong with you?
Yeah, there is. My boyfriend can tell you all
Get him in the room and you can talk to him.
Yeah, bring him in.
Yeah. No, it's just like, I guess, yeah, it's coming to a point like where what fuels me as an artist and like where is my purpose? Because the more I can do that is living my purpose and makes me happy, and the more I can give back, that's for me is like the ultimate, and it just will help me to keep things fresh and to have fun with my career too.
You know what I love about that? Like, this industry is so like notoriously competitive, and like there's a lot of people who do not help each other. I mean, I feel like in country it's not quite as crazy, and it's getting a bit better from what like the vibes I'm getting. But I love that like when artists are like help other artists as well, because there is room for everybody. Like, there shouldn't be this competition. Like, there's enough space for everybody. Let's all just get along.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's important. And I mean, for me, it's really important. I like to surround myself with people like-minded with that same thought. So it's like we can vibe off each other. And I always say it's like you find your tribe of people. So where it's like you're like-minded and you're working towards the same things, and you can have these honest conversations with each other, and you know that you can trust them. I think that's important. And then I think it's important to be able to give back and help some other artists up too, because they are the next generation. So it all helps each other.
Sort of in the same vein ish, you've collaborated, or at least, you know, toured with a bunch of artists. One that kind of surprised me was you and Manny Blue. Where did you get to meet? He's from Quebec, you're from Peterborough.
Yeah.
He's like punk country. Yeah. You're not. How?
But you're not?
It's like it's like it's really cool. Like he's awesome, you're awesome. So like,
Yeah.
it makes sense. But how did you even connect?
Well, it's always funny with this industry, the people and how you connect and how you build these friendships. It is like we built friendships, like Logan and Jenna as well, through seeing each other at all these events. And so it's crazy how, yeah, like where is that pinpoint of like you meeting and then it opens up to all these other people. So Manny, Blue, and I actually were in Nashville at the same time. We didn't know each other at that time. And we were both going out to see a show of our friends Alexis Taylor. I had just written a song with her that day when I was in Nashville, and she was like, "I have a show. You should come out." Like, yeah, that'd be awesome. So we were watching, and then she was like, "These are my friends here, Manny Blue and his manager." And I was like, "Hey, like, yeah, let's talk. I want to find out what is Manny Blue." So
I love it.
so yeah.
Happenstance.
Yeah. So then we hung out at some really cool rooftop in Nashville and just, we're just all hanging out as friends. And then ever since then, we've done these shows together, or we do online shows, or we see each other at events and we hang out. So it's neat how those connections happen.
I love it.
That's so funny. I thought there was going to be like some crazy story, and you're like, oh, we literally just like happened to be in the same place one day. That's so cool.
Yeah, and sometimes those are the moments where it's like, okay, that connection was supposed to happen. It's kind of like they line up at the right moment.
Can we just say this? I know this is about you, but he is so dope. He has the best vibes ever.
He does, and the best jackets.
Oh my gosh! I called him Manny Yellow, thinking that was hilarious. He was wearing a highlighter yellow jacket.
You did.
I remember that jacket.
Jenna, that's so embarrassing.
He loved it. He's so nice. He would just be like, "Oh, you're so funny, Jenna."
That's awesome.
He's hilarious. I love that guy.
That's really funny.
But yeah, it's nice. Like, I think we're probably beating this to a pulp a little bit now, but like the humans in this industry, or especially like in country, it's just so nice, like to actually get to know everybody, because everybody actually wants to connect with one another. It's not like, what can I get from you? What can how can I benefit?
There is some of that too.
Of course there is, but like when you find them easier, because not enough people are like that. I feel people are nice and they actually want to be your friend, and it's cool, right? And you're like, you can tell when somebody's being calculated, because it's not like they stand out in a weird way, right?
Yes, for sure. I think like, well, for the most part, like you're saying, country music is genuine. It's about being real, and it's about building friendships and real connections, because like you say, the industry's small and it's a family. So I think it's important that we all connect, because, well, it is small. It's like if you can't connect with people, that's like, I don't know if you're in the right industry, especially in country music.
Yeah.
I think I forgot something else I was going to say there. I think, that's the biggest thing, is to have genuine connections. And then if something comes out of it, great. But it's like with the mind of collaborating, I think is the best thing.
Totally.
What is your relationship with like this industry like kind of more broadly, like as an independent artist? Because to me, like we work with a ton of independent artists, and I see artists, they don't have help with, like, they're expected to be their own manager, their own tour, like their own marketing person, their own booker, their own, like everything, like
their own lawyer,
everything. So like
that's taken time to be able to be a creator and artist, but also a business person.
Yeah.
That probably took the longest. Is I always was an artist and I was always a creator, and that's where I naturally fit. But to learn to be a business minded person was one of the biggest journeys. And that just takes time. And it was somebody, I was lucky to have my dad in my corner, because he was the one that was always like, this is a business, treat it like a business, and make decisions as a business, as much as you want to, make emotional decisions because you're an artist, treat it like a business. And so, I mean, I do all the accounting and paperwork, and make sure I can afford to pay for different things. And then, think about marketing and not just the angle of an artist, but a brand. So that's an interesting thing to be able to like
balance,
flip between both worlds. And that took the longest. I used to struggle with that, because I'd be in business mode, and then I'd be like, okay, how do I switch from this now to writing? So now it's like, I'm able to flip back and forth, just because I guess the act of practicing it. But I've basically learned every hat of the industry, and now I'm learning what parts I don't want to have to deal with anymore and being able to pass those off to people that I trust, but also people that I've looked up to and I think they're doing incredible things. So yeah, I think getting to that point of knowing what my brand is, knowing what my business is, and then connecting to the right people that we can kind of work as a team and move everything forward. So yeah, balancing is important and finding the right people.
For someone who's not like who that doesn't come naturally to, or like who just doesn't have that in them, what is your advice there?
I would say it's going to be beneficial for you if you want to be able to create and be an artist, especially these days, the way that the industry is now. It's like independent artists, we're seeing so many of them, and there's very few that can fit into the label mold, and there's very few that can get signed unless you make it on your own. Sometimes you have to make it on your own before there is interest, so you're only helping yourself by learning to treat it like a business. And the best way would be to reach out to mentors and ask them their advice about the business, or reading books, or like I say, I had my dad who was an entrepreneur and owned his own businesses. So I've taken a lot of business concepts from him. So it's just, yeah, surrounding yourself with business people and learning from them. But that's the only way you're going to be able to take your art to the level of maybe you want. And that's just by treating it like a business and putting it out there so people have a chance to hear it and buy it and support you.
A lot of young artists don't know where to start. And I think, I just want to know your thoughts on this maybe, but like people are afraid to ask questions and reach out and like go to those experts and go to those people who others in the industry trust too. So like there's that like barrier for, I think, young artists too, especially who are just starting out, where it's like, who do I ask? Am I even allowed to ask this person that kind of thing? But like the payoff of just, getting your shit together and just doing it is way, you can't just sit around and anticipate something, right?
For sure. I think there's no harm in asking. I've learned that as well, is don't ever be afraid to ask. If they say no or they don't answer, there's no harm, whatever. At least you asked, at least you tried. And and get out there and try to network with people and build, like we were saying earlier, build authentic, genuine connections, because I think you can learn something from every single one of those people, or they can at least point you in a direction. So that would be my advice for young artists, is just get out and meet as many people as you can. And then once you meet people, maybe they'll be more trusting to give their time and their energy to share some knowledge with you too. Because some of these people are really busy too. So to be able to have their time for 10 minutes is not always easy. So, but yeah, just put yourself out there.
Totally.
So Elyse, what do you have coming out or coming up soon? I mean, I guess you're not touring at the moment.
Yeah. Well, yeah, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, those were sad laughs.
It was like
exactly, crying inside. Yeah, fingers crossed we'll have some shows for the summer. There is some things lining up, but we'll see. We'll have to just be flexible on when those dates are going to be. But so Jeans, we have a music video for, which I'm super excited to put out there soon. Funny story with Jeans, the music video is I had uploaded it onto my YouTube just to have the file there, because we're going to be pitching it out to people for some premiere things. So it was there, and I didn't even know that it was public on one of my playlists for the like 2 weeks. Didn't even know. And then there was one of the actors that was in it. She was like, shared something. I saw all these screenshots. I was like, where did you get the screenshots from? She's like, it's on your channel. I was like, no, I almost had a heart attack. So
oh no.
But luckily she posted something, or else I wouldn't have known. So I had to quickly.
So you gave people a sneak peek.
Yeah.
An exclusive sneak peek.
Yeah. Some people got a sneak peek. But yeah, so the music video for Jeans will be coming out this month, or I guess be closer to the end of the month. And it was just so much fun to film. I will give a little hint. I do some dancing in it. Because I do have a background in dancing. I used to do tap, hip hop, and jazz.
God. Which one are you doing in the music video? Tap?
Tell me to tap, yeah.
Yeah, I wish. No, it's like a combination between line dancing and TikTok dancing, sort of.
Fun!
Yeah.
Are you gonna have a TikTok dance to get people to do?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Jenna, you're on it.
We
Yeah, I would love to see you both
Just
dancing.
tosses me under the beat. You're doing this. We're doing this.
We'll definitely jump in on
We'll
that
give it a
trend.
go.
That'd be awesome.
Might not be a good one, but
I had a choreographer friend that made the dance for me. I was like, I don't know how to create this dance, but she did an amazing job because that's what she does. So interesting story about that too is I used to play Boots and Bourbon, which was the happening country bar in Toronto for the longest time.
Rest in
And
peace.
yeah, I know, so sad. And then Courtney would come out to these shows and she was like, I have a dancing class, you should come out. And I was always like, yeah, we should collaborate in some way. And it never worked out at the time. But then when this video concept came up and the idea came up, I was like, Courtney, like, could you create a dance for me? And like, do you have some dancers that could be a part? She's like, yeah, I got you. So she's living in Saskatchewan right now. So she came in for the video and we did the dance. She had all of her dancers there and it was one of the best days ever.
Amazing.
And it definitely a highlight of last year too. So that will be coming out. It's going to be going to radio. So it's really nice that we have the support of everybody on it already. And I'm excited to see what comes from that. And then, yeah, I guess I'll be creating another video for Famous in California at some point too, just so I have content for every song from this EP. And I hope to be able to do some kind of an EP showcase or something because I didn't get a chance to do that with the pandemic. So
can we get an invite?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, you're on my list.
Wonderful. I'm so excited for music again.
Oh,
me too.
We got cut off so fast.
It's like the world teased us with it, like, oh, here you go again, and then right back.
Just kidding.
Just a little taste tester. Yeah, just to get you excited and then sad again.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Well, on that note.
Yeah, literally. Let's get out of here.
Well, Elyse, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time and for us to get to know you a little better as well.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for doing this and love everything that you're doing as always with Front Porch to support upcoming artists and established artists. And I think this podcast is awesome just to be able to open up more conversation. So I love it. Good job. And thanks for having me.
May I just say, for like a year, I messaged Logan frequently and was like, can we start a podcast? Can we have a podcast? Can we please have a podcast?
And I'm like, I'm busy.
Now here we are. I got what I wanted.
It's I feel like it's the perfect time for it.
Why not, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right on.
And it's a lesson in persistence. That's what it really is.
Totally.
Be annoying.
Persistence is a big one.
Totally. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Elyse.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us on The Porch with Front Porch Music. I love talking to artists and digging deep into the world of Canadian country music, and I'm so excited you joined. If you liked this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. That's the easiest way for you to support this show. You may even get a shout out. So we'll see you in a couple weeks next time on The Porch. On The Porch with Front Porch Music is hosted by me, Logan Miller, and Jenna Weishar. The theme song was written, produced, and performed by Owen Riegling.